Sir, it's not stable. We need to shut it down.
Can it, Poindexter? Keep it moving.
We need to stabilize the game. It's not possible to get so many big names in one
I
title.
want it done, damn it. Find a way.
Okay, the best I can do is add in obscure characters and hypersexualize them.
Remove the characters that nobody cares about. And don't you dare add monetization as a way to compensate. And remove the Gooner bait.
Recalibrating now. It's still not stable.
Right. Now lower the barrier of entry.
Sir, I think that did it.
Of course it did. That'll be all, Poindexter. You can find your severance in the mail.
We can't do this. Something has to give. Something has to compensate for the...
Oh yeah. Now we're talking. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is an action RPG beat-em-up developed by Raven Software and published by Activision. Released in 2006, it is the ultimate culmination of Raven Software's previous work in the X-Men Legends series. Only this time, we're expanding our horizons beyond sexual deviants and sociopaths to the Marvel Universe at large. In Marvel Ultimate Alliance, players will take control of a based selection of Marvel characters that people actually care about, and do battle against the greatest collection of villains since your National Taxation Office, led by the infamous Dr. Doom. The so-called Masters of Evil have unleashed a most sinister plot, the likes of which this universe has never seen before. Their conflict will take us across the breadth of the Marvel Universe, from the depths of Mephisto's realm to the fringes of the Skrull Empire, in an epic tale manchildren around the world can only dream of. So tell me, ladies and gentlemen, are you worthy? Can you handle the responsibility? And are you ready to be the best at what you can do? Then assemble, ladies and gentlemen, because the foreplay's over. Let's get started. Why do I have the feeling that if I took a black light to this place, it would light up like a Christmas tree? Marvel Ultimate Alliance is a relaxed, casual story that makes full use of its licenses to Marvel all over the place. Fundamentally, it is a love letter to fans of Marvel and the comics. If this game was heavily monetized, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's just an extension of the marketing department or some kind of funnel trying to convince you to throw your money away, or goon all day, I guess. But because it was made by a team that cares, Raven Software have crafted a story that feels as though it belongs in the pages of an epic crossover event or superhero movie that I have no doubt whatsoever will most definitely stick the landing.
Not a great plan.
The story isn't anything special by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, it was an excuse to use every character in the Marvel catalogue while the rights were all still in one place. Yet, Marvel Ultimate Alliance doesn't have to be anything more, as it already excels at what it sets out to do, placing you, the player, in the center of what feels like an interactive comic, except this time, you get to choose which scantily clad women and muscle-bound tank brains cover the page. The cast of heroes is pretty formidable, and likewise, the selection of villains and side characters are just as impressive. All the big names you can think of are included, and of course, the bad guys are led by the one, the only, OG, straight out of Latveria, Dr. Doom. Every opportunity is used to pull in as many iconic characters and locations from the source material, creating a story that is a wet dream for Marvel enjoyers. It's simply plain good old fun, and truth be told, it'll likely be the only reason you want to be playing the game outside of the first 5 hours after the gameplay has gone stale. I mean, when you booted up the game, did you expect to throw hands with Gladiator, fish blade out of a gumball machine, or be quizzed by MODOK? Because I know I didn't. Right from the get-go, this game will capture your interest with its premise, and no expense is spared, as there's a decent length story of around 20 hours for players to enjoy, covering such a wide range of the Marvel Universe that we're unlikely to see another game achieve in our lifetimes. Well, one that's worth our time at least. It even has a few twists and turns to make it interesting because, of course, not everything is as it seems. Anyway, I'm sure you're not here to listen to me overanalyze a story based around intellectual property for children. So let's talk about the gameplay. Hey, check that out. Isn't that pretty cool? I know there is so many more important things I should be doing right now, to be honest. Ultimate Alliance takes the formula established in the X-Men Legends series and improves upon it even further. Although a few features are streamlined, it's all done in an effort to improve the core gameplay. For those that are unfamiliar with how these games play, basically it revolves around building a squad from a selection of heroes and using their unique abilities alongside different thematic powers and combos to eliminate anything that moves, occasionally solve puzzles, and cause ungodly amounts of damage to private and public property. The goal is to level up, create builds for characters, obtain loot, and do it all over again. Aside from the classic button mashing fun featured in Raven Software's previous work, in Ultimate Alliance, players now have access to a slew of new features such as character unique grabs, blocks, dodges, and the ability to pick up and use weapons, including the enemies themselves if you're so inclined. Much like X-Men Legends 2, each character has a variety of abilities and passives you can improve and use at your discretion. This is where the light RPG elements come into play as you take these iconic characters and mold them into archetypes you've seen elsewhere, such as turning the Thing into a tank and soaking up all the damage, while you craft the Human Torch into a caster, lighting the entire screen on fire from a distance, all while endlessly reminding you that yes, the turkey is done.
The turkey's done!
Also, they've removed that bullshit condition of having to waste level ups on abilities such as flight for characters like Storm. Now you can float like a big hairy butterfly and sling like a spider from the beginning. Each playable character feels unique, and no matter who you choose to dish out those, they all feel good and fun to play with. Of course, the individual quality of every character will vary because while some have everything going for them, some feel more like an afterthought.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
But if you're willing to adapt, every character is viable, even on the hardest difficulty. Speaking of difficulty, it's not that bad this time round. It's not like the first X-Men Legends that has a set difficulty, so you can choose how bad you want it to be. And if you don't build your character correctly, you can somewhat remedy it this time round, as you can freely redistribute skill points to make characters more viable, or just try out something different. Players can also kit out heroes in iconic threads taken directly from the source material. These aren't just for looks, as each costume provides passive benefits that can be upgraded with the coins you get for beating the snot out of the bad guys. But I don't want to get your hopes up too high, as while this seems very impressive, it's important to note that it's not as intricate as you might think, and that's for two main reasons. First, they've taken a very Skyrim-esque approach to leveling up, by simply asking players, do you want the hero to hit harder, be hit harder, or spam special attacks? Second, by comparison, they've completely gutted the whole equipment system seen in previous installments. Now, only one item can be equipped on a character, and there is no longer any RNG as all items are predetermined. As a result, inventory management is infinitely less tedious, and I can't really fault them for it, as compared to X-Men Legends 2, the roster of heroes nearly doubled. That and system memory doesn't grow on trees. Yes, for those of you that are severely autistic, there is even more of them on screen right now, but don't worry, we'll get to that later. Of course, I can only speculate that technical limitations would have had a role to play in Ultimate Alliance's more simplistic design, but another proponent as to why the game is more simple is simply because it was intentionally designed this way. This game is very upfront and honest about it being something you're supposed to play in the comfort of your own home by yourself or with friends on the couch during co-op. Yeah, do you remember when couch co-op was a thing? Now I'm pushing 30 and staring down a mortgage and marriage to boot. My oh my, how time flies. So, does this mean that because the game was designed for a more casual audience in mind that it's bad? No. It just means that if you were to sit down and overanalyze it for, I don't know, the sake of a YouTube video, you would probably come to the same conclusion I did, which was that it's really not that deep, bro. Why does it seem like 90% of Asgard's problems stem from the guy that's supposed to be running the place? Outside of the improvements to the core gameplay, Ultimate Alliance also includes a lot of features seen in its spiritual predecessors, but in some cases with some marvelous additions. Hub worlds received an overhaul in Ultimate Alliance. Much like X-Men Legends 2, as the story progresses, we'll see ourselves travel to a variety of topical locations, such as Stark Tower, the Sanctum Sanctorum, and even Adelan. Aside from being thematic, it's honestly a great excuse to shove in as much comic book lore as possible, and introduce players to the facets of the Marvel Universe they may not be familiar with, which is further enforced with the return of the trivia minigames. Man, I just loved these as a kid. You know, that rush of dopamine you got every time you got one right? It was just like... or that resounding sense of shame when you got it wrong. It was glorious. I'm really glad that they brought these back. These short minigames test your comic book knowledge, but since this was made during a time where people mostly cared about consumers, you don't need to have thrown money at the feet of Marvel to know the answers. Each hub world is filled to the brim with obscure and popular characters alike, more than happy to share their stories, though I'd prefer if some of them kept it to themselves next time.
You know, this team needs a catchy theme song. Something that mentions shaking your booty.
Another feature brought back are team bonuses. For those of you hip with comic lore, you can combine certain heroes in your squad to grant additional effects while you dispense justice, more or less encouraging you to group certain heroes together. Of course, there's the obvious ones like the Fan 4 Stick, the Avengers, and the best superhero team ever. Yeah, fight me. But there's plenty more for you to discover. Much like the previous installments, there are side quests that can be completed alongside main missions. Most are essentially simple fetch quests, but some impact the final ending. However, I think their main purpose is to put you even further on edge during main missions as you turn places like Atlantis asunder in search of the game's collectibles. You can find stat upgrades, additional XP, figurines for unlockable characters, and also simulation discs. Reminiscent of the danger room in previous entries, these simulation missions are designed as challenges for players. Aside from being a good excuse to get familiar with all the playable characters, there are a bunch of unlockable goodies up for grabs if you've got the skills. Speaking of unlockables, this game is chock full of them. We're not just talking alternate costumes or concept art, we're talking whole characters. You want to pretend like you have no fear, or vaporize dweebs with the power cosmic? Well, you better get out there and break down every fixture and fitting that isn't made of adamantium and take a good look around to find what you need. You can even unlock Nick Fury Sr., not the chocolate thunder that we're all used to, the vanilla ice version. You know, now that I think about it, it kind of looks like No, I shouldn't, I'm going to get in trouble. Anyway, isn't he essentially what amounts to a cosmic cuck in the lore right now? Naturally, it's understandable if you're not able to uncover all the game's secrets or unlock everything by the time you hit the end credits. And even then, there's still additional content for players to enjoy once you save the universe from old Doomsy over here. Once you beat the game, you'll get access to a New Game Plus and the My Team concept. New Game Plus is self-explanatory, allowing you to take your leveled heroes through the game again to reach higher heights. But a new addition not included in previous titles is the My Team. The My Team is a nifty little thing that allows players to build custom teams of their favourite heroes and unlock new bonuses as you kick names and take arse with your merry band of costume freaks. Of course, this is assuming that you enjoyed the game enough the first time around to justify playing it again. You see, up until now I've spoken fairly positively about the game, and rightfully so, since I do believe it has a lot going for it. But the truth is, there is a Galactus-sized caveat that you'll need to accept, against which no justification can easily explain. Wait, am I dead? If this is heaven, why does it smell like manufactured suffering? Wait, never mind. I'm gonna be blunt here. I like this game. I really do. It gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling every time I turn it on. But that feeling quickly dissipates after a couple of hours because it can get really boring and makes me want to put it away. Now, before you all come at me with Stormbreaker and the Sword of Dracula, just hear me out, please. The core gameplay loop of Ultimate Alliance does not change throughout the entirety of its runtime. And by that, I mean you will be doing the same thing at the beginning of the game as you will at the end of the game, mashing buttons and spamming special attacks. The only real change is the backdrop and what flavor of henchman you want to mop the floor with. I'm not trying to be facetious, but that's really all that happens in this game. In my opinion, it's due to how the RPG elements were cut down compared to the previous titles. Now, I'm not going to stand here, hand on heart, and say that the RPG elements in X-Men Legends were God's gift to gamers, but at least there was a bit of nuance there with synergizing your build and equipment loadouts with each character's unique strengths. By comparison, Ultimate Alliance is a lot more simplified, and if that's simple, and the gameplay's simple, then, well, the good vibes can only carry this game for so long before you get bored and want to move on. The abundance of unlockables and multitude of characters you can switch out on the fly help rectify this issue by giving some incentive to keep playing, but it doesn't solve the fundamental problem. This game is only replayable to the extent you're willing to grind so you can unlock everything or max out all your heroes. There are only a couple of sections where the core gameplay significantly varies in a way that makes it interesting. For me, it's Murder World with all those little mini games, and that tense section in the Skrull Empire when you only have 5 minutes to grab the Macron crystal, save Professor X's avian pocket pussy, and flatten Deathbird. Ultimate Alliance also features the occasional puzzle solving or platforming section, but these are so infrequent and again, simple that you'll probably forget that it's even a feature. It feels as though Raven borderline gave up trying to make the puzzle solving interesting compared to what they did in X-Men Legends. At least in those games, you could use a hero's powers to interact with the environment to clear a path or just circumvent obstacles entirely. However, on a meta level, I do understand how this makes some heroes useless compared to others that can treat the material world like it's their plaything. This would also make designing levels a nightmare, as you'd have to account for each hero and their abilities, all while ignoring that some people would just be too stubborn to bring characters that can interact with the environment. They really had something going there, and it's just a shame that it wasn't improved upon further. But what about the boss battles, I hear you say? Well, I'll tell you right now that they're not really anything special. They're either a straight up brawl where you trade a group of enemies for a singular opponent, or you just dodge attacks before it's unceremoniously resolved with a quick time event. Yes, unfortunately, this game came out at a time where those were at their peak. The boss battles at the conclusion of each main mission do also have a gimmick to make them stand out, but the quality of these range from tolerable to outright annoying. I mentioned before that this game was designed to be enjoyed with others, whether that was with the online multiplayer that no longer works, or split-screen co-op. This is where Ultimate Alliance is at its best. Relaxing with mates, shooting the shit, going through a cruisy beat-em-up adventure for a universe filled with characters that we all know and love. I'm not saying that you can't enjoy the game out of this specific scenario, but I'm not going to pretend like my enjoyment doesn't plummet after a couple of hours either. You know, you really shouldn't gas up this Black Bolt guy so much. Sure, it sounds impressive, but at this point you're just asking for someone to come along and make him look like a goober. Alright, now that I'm done shitting all over your nostalgia, let's talk about something the game does very well. Its atmosphere. This game embodies Marvel in a way we have never seen a game achieve before. Ultimate Alliance uses every facet of its design to bring this universe and its characters to life. I don't know how they've done it, but Raven has somehow perfectly captured the essence of each character in this game. No, I mean it. It's like every character they've included has been brought to life straight from the page. I'm not just talking about the heroes when I say this. I'm talking about every single character. The villains, the goons, the side characters nobody cares about or has seen in years. They're all here. The hero selection in this game is peak, and honestly, it's much better than something like Marvel Rivals. Compared to the last installment, Ultimate Alliance features nearly double the amount of playable characters. Some characters like Ghost Rider, Elektra, Daredevil, and Blade might seem like odd inclusions at first, but you have to remember that when this game came out, there was no MCU, and these were the guys that got people excited, or something along those lines.
Some motherfuckers still trying to ice skate up here.
Each character has unique interactions like Magneto mogging Think Fan Foom, or Iceman getting pep talks from Professor X after having a panic attack entering Mephisto's realm. There's heaps of them for you to discover, helping to add to the replayability as you can stumble upon them without even realizing it.
Hello, Deadpool.
Black Widow. I've gotta know. Are those real?
I beg your pardon?
Your teeth. Are they real? They're just so darn shiny and straight.
There were exclusive characters for each of the different console releases, but after getting to test them out, I'm happy to confirm they're not anything special. I mean, what can Black Widow really do other than be the brunt of crude sexual humor? Just kick people real good? There was also a DLC, but you're likely to already have that included in your version of the game. Or, at the very least, we can fix that issue. But all in good time, my friend. Furthermore, as the name implies, the characters' designs, with some exceptions... No, leave me alone. Assuming I've got my multiversal knowledge somewhat in check, is taken from the Marvel Ultimate Universe run that was ongoing when this game was initially released back in 2006. Also, I'm fully expecting some turbo nerd to come in here and tell me exactly what multiverse this belongs to. Look, buddy, don't waste your time. I don't care. Funnily enough, the Ultimate Universe was my first real introduction to the Marvel Universe at large, and despite its faults, because there were a few, I do tend to look back on it quite fondly. Outside of the characters, there's the universe itself, and all the wonderful environments will be pounding the bad guys in. Again, it's phenomenal. Each location is distinct, and while some are a little too similar or lacking in overall polish, they all feel great to explore and break to pieces in equal measure. The sound effects for punching, kicking, and turning enemies into boxes are incredible. It adds a satisfying touch to all that smashing, clobbering, and sweet Christmas you'll be unloading on the bad guys. As for the soundtrack, at first, I didn't think anything of it, but during the preparation of this video, I learned to appreciate how well put together it really is. Of course, the main title and helicarrier themes stick out as some of the more iconic tracks, but you gotta appreciate how much it varies and sells the otherworldly ancient vibe of the Valley of Spirits, of a dark, imposing aura that is Castle Doom. Tell you what, let me paint you a picture. You're busting skulls in a wacky, weird, dark carnival, filled with murderous clowns and bumper cars. What do you think that sounds like? Maybe something like this? You have to admit, that's pretty good, if not nigh on perfect. Now imagine a whole game of that. No pun intended, but if you ask me, that sounds pretty good. The only complaint I have about the sound is that the mix is atrocious, and at some points, whether this is an issue on my end, I don't know, but there were a few points where the audio level for voice lines was just too low compared to the background music. But if you want the ultimate proof that the end result of all of these individual elements is nothing short of absolute peak, then all you have to do is look at the cutscenes. My god, the opening cutscene alone is enough to give me goosebumps. I don't blame Wolverine for jumping off the carrier head first. Who wouldn't be hype as fuck, pulling up with the boys to wreck shit on Summon Lightning? Now that I've said something nice about the game, you're probably hoping that I'm going to keep this thing going, right? You're nothing but a big bully behind that mask of yours. And I've only got one thing to say to bullies. I hate you, 3000. My video is prepared from the perspective of playing on the PC, and it's been so long since I played on consoles that I can't remember anything specific. All I can say is that I don't remember there being any glaring issues. The experience on the PC is the same for the most part. Only exception being extensive issues with controller support, which will require third-party solutions as a fix. Also, though the audio is fine outside of the moments where the mix is all over the place, there is the occasional glitch where the ambient track gets cut before coming back with a bloody vengeance. As this is an older game, widescreen resolutions are a bit of an issue. While it is possible to go above a 2K resolution, the UI and text will not scale correctly. And as far as I'm aware, unfortunately, there is no way to rectify this. Other than that, it plays fine, and I don't remember encountering any bugs or experiencing any crashes. From a graphics perspective, the game looks great for its age, assuming you are playing a version of the game with enhanced textures. And though it was a shame to lose the cel-shaded style seen in X-Men Legends, the art style was still engaging and holds up after all this time. Sometimes it can be a bit much with all the particle effects going on at the same time, but that's to be expected with this kind of game. However, there is something pretty serious we need to bring up when talking about this game, and that it's actually no longer available for sale. In 2018, the game was delisted from stores worldwide after the publisher's rights to use all the different Marvel characters expired. I'm going to keep the details scarce, mainly because I'm not sure if any of this is legal. I mean, not that I really care anyway, but I just don't want to get anyone in trouble. All I'm going to say is that if you look, ye shall find.
Check the description. Check the description.
You're welcome.
Check the description. Check the
Have fun.
description.
Anyway, once you do have the game, it'll be on the best platform, the PC. Because on the PC, you can mod this bad boy to Asgard and back. This game has so much modding potential, it's insane. Do you want Omni-Man, Shrek, The Undertaker, and Optimus Prime all on one team? Just say the word. I'm not even joking. The level of skill and autism that goes into making stuff like this a reality never ceases to amaze me. Forewarning though, it is a very tedious process, and I highly recommend taking your time and getting a full night's rest before you try anything, as the game is very old and can be difficult to work with.
So he's an idiot.
Though I haven't modded Ultimate Alliance extensively, I was able to add in all the DLC and console exclusive characters with the 36 roster hack and set up controller support with relative ease. Thankfully, there is plenty of helpful instruction available on the Marvel Mods website and their Discord. Their community is full of unsung heroes that don't get enough credit, and I'm more than happy to help. With that being said, I'd like to say a huge thank you to all the modders and everyone else that keeps the Marvel Ultimate Alliance community alive after all these years. The world truly is a better place with your contribution. In particular, I would like to thank Marvel Mods themselves, as without their wonderful slew of helpful tutorials, I would not be able to enjoy the game in the capacity that I have. But now's not the time to get all soppy. Let's wrap this up, shall we? Ultimate Alliance transports the player into what feels like an interactive comic, rich in the lunacy that is the Marvel Universe. No expense is spared bringing every NPC, location, and playable character to life. It's a game that won't ask much of you, only that you sit back and enjoy it, either by your lonesome or in the company of those that you can stomach to be around. And in that regard, it excels, as it's an experience fans of the setting, or even those with a casual knowledge of Marvel, can easily pick up and enjoy at their leisure. Where Ultimate Alliance struggles is, ironically, due to its simplicity and low barrier of entry. The basic gameplay loop, lack of gameplay variety, and dumbed down RPG elements make the game accessible, but this lack of intricacy is what makes the game enjoyable for only as long as you're willing to accept that it's nothing more than button mashing with cool characters and nice particle effects. So why would I recommend Marvel Ultimate Alliance? Because it's fun in small doses, and it doesn't make you lose your hope in humanity. That, and you can get it for free, so that's a plus. If you're looking for casual fun or good old-fashioned Marvel that covers a wide range of its lore, then this is the game for you. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more nuance, yeah, maybe give it a pass. But I think that's enough out of me for today. I'm tired of talking and you're probably tired of listening, so let's just call it there, yeah? A huge thank you to all the friends and family that helped in the preparation of this video. Likewise to all the people in the Cannoliverse, and for all of you that left such wonderful comments on my last video. Thank you very much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. As a token of gratitude, I'll spare you the usual YouTuber self-plug, so if you like my stuff, you know what to do, okay? With that being said, please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao ragazzi. What? Somebody there?
Somebody.
Who said that?
Don't play the innocent with me.
Where are you?
Follow the cold shiver running down your spine. Yes.
It is your fate, young dragon slayer, to prevent this darkness that is to come over Rivellon.